Ever had one of those arguments where you walk away thinking, did we even have the same conversation? That classic line, you just don't get me. It's like a relationship rite of passage.
Oh, I've seen that play out at dinner tables, on phone calls, you name it. What gets me is how often it isn't about the topic, it's about how we're talking, like we're using two totally different playbooks.
Exactly. That's where Deborah Tannen comes in with her book. She says it's less about who's right and more about different gender dialects.
That idea honestly blew my mind the first time I read it. Suddenly, half my old fights made so much more sense. There's a logic behind the confusion, which is kind of reassuring.
Tannen's not just anyone. She's a sociolinguist, someone who studies how language shapes our lives. The fact that her book topped bestseller lists for months tells you it hit a nerve.
People were desperate for this, I think. 8 months on the New York Times list and in 31 languages? That's basically global relationship therapy.
That's a lot of translations. I love that people say it saved their marriages. Sometimes just having a language for the problem is half the solution.
Totally, and what's cool is Tannen didn't just make this up. She spent years researching how men and women talk, then put it all into stories anyone can relate to.
So the book's big splash is these two conversational styles, feelings, talk, and report talk. Have you ever caught yourself switching between the two?
Oh, for sure. Sometimes I catch myself in full report mode, rattling off facts like I'm anchoring the nightly news. Other times, I'm all about swapping stories and checking in on how someone feels.
Same. And Tannen says that mix-ups often happen because men lean toward report talk status, facts, solutions, while women tend to vibe with feelings, talk connection, care, shared experience.
It's wild how those styles can clash, especially if you don't even realize you have a default setting.
Let's dive into feelings talk for a second. The whole aim is showing you care talking, so both people feel seen.
I admire people who are naturals at that. You know, the ones who make deep conversation over coffee look effortless. They share, but also tune into your feelings at the same time.
Right, it's almost like they're building a little bridge as they talk. Tannen says if private, one-on-one chats come easily to you, you're probably a feelings talker.
Funny enough, even in public, some women keep it personal, like sharing a story in a meeting instead of dropping stats. It's just their way of making things real.
Now, flip to report talk. This is where you see people using words to stake out independence, or show off a little like, listen up, I've got something important here.
Yeah, it's the classic let me explain how it is vibe. Public speaking feels like home turf for a lot of report talkers. And you'll notice, in a group, they gravitate to stories or little lectures.
It's almost performative, putting knowledge out there, getting the room's attention. Even in close relationships, some folks can't help but turn answers into mini presentations.
I've totally done that at family dinners. Suddenly, I'm giving a TED Talk when all someone wanted was a simple answer.
What I find fascinating is how flexible people can be. Like, a male therapist might lean into deep empathy, while a woman giving a keynote triggers full-on report talk energy.
Exactly. It's not stuck to your DNA. The best communicators can swap gears depending on what's needed, but most of us tend to default to one, especially when we're not thinking about it.
Even so, those overall tendencies are hard to miss. When you walk into a room, you can almost feel which style is running the show.
Yeah, and it's wild how early these preferences show up: childhood friendships, playground games. It really sticks with us into adulthood.
Speaking of childhood, Tannen traces these styles all the way back to the sandbox. For girls, talk is the glue bonding, sharing secrets. For boys, it's more about contest, like who can run fastest or tell the wildest story.
That totally tracks. I remember growing up, my group of friends used talking as this big, emotional web. But the guys I knew were all about ribbing each other or debating who'd win in a fight, real or imaginary.
And those patterns don't just disappear. Adult friendships often echo those early habits, sometimes without us even noticing.
Makes you wonder how much of our grown-up communication is just recycled childhood scripts, right?
So, report talk has its upsides. If you want to get noticed at work or school, that look-at-me style can open doors and put you on people's radars.
And in public settings, like meetings or Q&As, it's usually the report talkers who jump in first. They have zero fear raising their hand or taking the mic, which can be powerful, but also intimidating for others.
What's ironic is that the same person who's super quiet at home can dominate a room full of strangers. Like Stuart and Rebecca from the book Total Flip-Flop, depending on the setting.
Right. But then you get the downside too. That same drive to impress or instruct can come off as cold or worse, condescending in private moments.
I have to jump in on the humor angle. Tannen's take on the women have no sense of humor stereotype is a game changer. Turns out, it's often just that women save jokes for private circles.
Yeah, joke telling is like taking the stage. There's pressure, and men might be more practiced at using humor publicly teasing, showing off, controlling the room's energy.
But when that's the norm, women end up as the audience listening, laughing, clapping, but rarely getting that spotlight themselves.
Which, over time, can shrink their voices. It's not about being less funny, it's about who gets to be the center of attention.
Let's talk about when report talk actually backfires. Like Martha in the computer store, the clerk just drowns her in jargon instead of helpful advice.
That stuff drives me nuts. You walk in needing support and walk out feeling like you've been lectured by a robot. The clerk's goal is to show expertise, but it comes off as superiority.
Tannen points out the same thing in academia. Sometimes it's more about challenging or showing off than real dialogue. And if someone feels attacked, they just shut down.
It's a good reminder that what looks like confidence or smarts can be received as coldness or even contempt if you're on the other side.
Switching gears, let's dig into feelings talk in action. When Martha goes back to the store and meets a clerk who translates everything into plain language, you can feel the difference.
It's a game of leveling the field I'm with you, not above you. That kind of approach can turn a confusing chore into a team effort. It's why a lot of women end up as the family glue, keeping everyone connected.
But here's the catch. Too much feelings talk can be draining. One guy described dating someone who constantly voiced doubts, and he wound up feeling like a human stress ball.
That's so real. There's only so much emotional unpacking a person can do before they need a breather. Even the best listeners need boundaries, or they'll just burn out.
Funny you mention boundaries, because Tannen is clear. Adjustment can't be one-sided. Men, women, everyone, it's about learning to meet in the middle.
Yeah, and workplaces especially tilt toward report talk, so if that's not your style, it's tough. But it's also okay to claim space to speak up, even if it feels risky.
And if you're a natural report talker, try leaning into empathy when it matters. Instead of fixing or correcting, just listen and connect for a moment.
It's all about balancing the scales. There's no universal right way to talk, but there is a right way for each moment and each relationship.
Tannen ends with a gym home means different things for different people. For many men, it's the one place they finally get to be quiet. For many women, it's the place they can talk most freely.
That stuck with me too. Makes you rethink what comfort looks like for the people you live with. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just ask, what would make this space feel safer for you?
If nothing else, knowing these styles exist gives us tools to be kinder, both to ourselves and to the people we care about.
And maybe next time someone says, "You're not listening," we'll pause and actually check if we're speaking the same language.